Thanks for joining this morning. So something tells me you didn't just wake up award winners one day, but this might have been a bit of a journey throughout your careers and maybe even before that got you here. So I'd love to first start back with each of you. Feel free to go first, whoever would like to. But what are some early sponsorship experiences that you had that kind of shaped your career, the impact and the work you do today?
I can take that one. I think for me, hello everyone, good morning. For me it was networking actually and the power of mentorship. So I come from a different country, different background. So when I came to this country, sponsorship was something that I never really heard about. So for me, pairing myself with a couple of mentors was really important. They showed me the ropes, and the relationship that you build with a mentor is very special. And nowadays I'm calling up to these people, I'm doing business with these people, and that relationship is very special. So for me, networking and especially mentorship was really changing for me.
Great, yeah, I love that.
I think for me, it was my experience on the agency side at MKTG, shout out. We're surrounded by some extremely smart people who really taught me how to think strategically around the industry. And I worked both on the experiential and the consulting side. So on consulting, I was able to peek into these tier one brands and how they were managing their sponsorship portfolio, which I really use those learnings now overseeing our portfolio at Molson Coors. And then on the experiential side, we were possibly executing just one line item of an entire sponsorship contract, but being in the weeds and doing that execution, you really learn how important every single detail is. And I've really taken that with me for the importance, again, of the full asset list that you have and how those are executed and that engagement that you have with the consumer or possible B2B customers. So I've really taken all those things with me from that time.
I'm going to go way, way back. So I grew up in a house full of Jays fans. And when I was a child, we were always watching the Jays, listening to them on AM radio. And this will age me. A&P, the grocery brand, was a partner of the Jays. They did an activation on radio where if a specific Blue Jay hit a home run, you would get $1,000 in A&P gift cards. And so you had to call in and register. So one day when I was a child, Sylvester Campusano, a center fielder, hit a home run, and my dad got a call. He won $1,000 in gift cards to A&P, which at the time in the year of our Lord 1988 was actually quite meaningful to our family, and it is something that we still talk about. So I took my dad to Game 7 of Jays versus the Mariners, and he was telling that story again, and I think the thing that really I think about with that is that we have this really wonderful opportunity in the roles that we have to create core memories that will travel with people for the rest of their lives, and really generate material fandom that doesn't go away. And so I think about that a lot.
And $1,000 way back, that feels like a lot of money.
For if we go in today's dollars, that's about $3,000. I did the math.
That's pretty good. But I love that in that there's a personal connection, an emotional component and all of that. And then coming to kind of today, sitting here, in what ways have strategic partnerships evolved? And how does that kind of shape your work, and how is that powerful for brands and properties?
I can go again. So we're talking about this just this week. As a team, we're looking at the CSLS, the sponsorship study, the Canadian sponsorship landscape study results. They're actually, if you've never seen Norm O'Reilly, who's the lead author, present, he's going to be releasing the results later in that other room. Definitely recommend you check it out. But one of the trends that we've been seeing, I'm not going to spoil the results, but one of the trends that we've been seeing is the growth in our industry. Post-pandemic, it's just exploded. Investment is just flowing into sponsorship. And Norm actually coined that the era of optimization. And one of the reasons why we're seeing this much growth is the tools that are available at our disposal to make more and better and smarter decisions. So everything from tracking, from measurement, audience analytics, audience data, all of these tools are cheaper than ever. Everyone or every brand could get their hands on some of these tools to make better and faster decisions. So really it's these powerful tools and providers that are popping up everywhere, driving our industry forward. So yeah, definitely check out that session at 10:45 on the other room.
Did he pay you to give it a shout out?
Maybe.
I think for me, it's how our sponsorship landscape has really turned into something that is so multi-dimensional and multi-channel. Before, maybe it was a little bit transactional many years ago, and now there's really opportunity for brands and properties to push the narrative on creativity, leveraging the sponsorship properties to do so, and using it as a full-on marketing platform, whereas before it might have just been a relationship to check the box for one specific thing within the whole story, but now it can be a whole story in itself. And I just think all of the different channels that the sponsorship landscape offers to us is amazing, and there's more and more creativity coming out with that storytelling every day, and I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, sort of on the same line as both of you. I think data and insights are more important than ever, so we can now, as marketers, make much more thoughtful, strategic decisions around investment and around how we engage with our audiences. I also think that being purpose-driven is far more important than ever. There was an Edelman study last year, I think, that showed that Gen Z and millennials, which are the lion's share of our core audience, expect brands to operate in a purpose-driven manner. Like 66% of those folks expect that. And when sponsorship activations do leverage those types of concepts, they get 22% more engagement. And so thinking about the way that we can be purpose-driven, the way that we can align our values, and the way that we can collaborate as such, really, really important.
And I feel like all three of these pieces, knowing the awards that you're going to showcase in a second, all three of these come through in that, which is fantastic. So I'm sure we're on the edge of our seats wanting to see what these awards winning concepts, campaigns, work are. So I'd love to start with you, Marlie, to tell us a little bit about the work and the award that you won, but I believe we have a video first that will speak for itself. Still gives me chills. Yeah, this campaign, we won a few awards at the SMAs, including Best in Show, which we're really happy and thankful for the recognition from the industry. Molson Trademark, our platform within hockey, is bringing everyone in, and we show up really strong across Canada with whether it be Molson Canadian, Molson Export, or Molson Excel, etc. And we knew when partnering with the PWHL that we wanted to show up just as strong with them, and so that strategic insight for us about the need to amplify the names of the players and give them the voices that they really do deserve in these amazing athletes, that's what really started the insight around this campaign. Working with our partners at Rethink and then also joining forces with the PWHL as an amazing partner. The breakthrough moment was when the realization and coming with the idea about the hair covering their names and how that ties so much to that key messaging and that vision about amplifying their names. So from there, we made it happen with the PWHL really, really quickly, made everything come together, and we ended up launching on International Women's Day. And really from there, it took off. We had the one game where the players actually wore the jerseys, but we got so much love from this campaign. You'll see we got over 67 million impressions. It really did come from international, and that's about, in our calculations, 2.3 billion in a comparison to the US. We had 98% positive sentiment. We had amazing shares organically, whether it be media or content creators or other people just talking about the campaign. We felt so much love. And so this is a campaign that both for myself personally, but also from the business perspective, we were so proud of, and we were really happy how we were able to take that insight and take that aha moment. And you kind of feel it when you're watching the video of it's so simple, but it's really this aha moment of making sure that the players and voices are really being heard within the industry and amplifying them. I remember when it came out, and so I'm like, ooh, having a starstruck moment. I'm meeting the person who did it, but it is a chills moment, right? To put yourself in the shoes of those, or skates of that athlete, which is cool.
For sure.
Jorge, over to you next with T1's Agency of the Year award.
Yeah, so Agency of the Year was the award that we won, and we'll have a video play in the background, no audio. But yeah, so we're not really an agency that's constantly applying for awards. We don't really like to stand in the spotlight. We like our work to speak for itself, but really it felt right for us to apply this time around more to a testament of the work that goes behind the scenes. So on the screen you're seeing all of our client work that you would see if you're watching TV, if you're engaging with our campaigns, if you're around in a game. But you don't really see the people that go behind the scenes, are doing all this work and making all this work possible. So it really was a testament to the people. And a few years ago, our incredible leaders, Liz, our general manager, and Nithi, our president, sat down to reimagine what the agency of the future could look like. So that really set the groundwork for a whole transformational project that looked to redo the things that we do at T1. How do we think about clients' problems and how do we solve them? Our processes, our frameworks, the tools that we use, it really, our culture, it was really a transformational work that laid the groundwork for where we are today, and it just really felt right for us to apply for an award that could really speak about our people internally. So really, this was more for us as employees than for PR or media recognition.
And working very closely and physically closely with T1, the passion comes through on every person that you work with there, which is fantastic. Oh, and Norm, there was, again, another Norm plug. And
I
Rob,
get a commission every time his name is mentioned, so.
And Rob, maybe you can share a little bit about TIFF's award.
Yeah, absolutely. So we won for our partnership with Rogers in 2024. We started really having serious discussions with them in March of 2024, and then announced a partnership in June. So a pretty short period of time to figure out a lot of stuff. They really wanted to figure out ways to reposition their brand as Canada's communications and entertainment company. So kind of shifting perception a little bit. They wanted to make sure that they had really incredible experiences and also just maximize the visibility of the brand. This was an interesting conversation because we had previously an incumbent in that category for 28 years. And so trying to figure out ways in which to really differentiate was an interesting nut to try to crack. And honestly, we didn't really get to it until Tanya Whitty, who was leading partnerships at Rogers at the time, and myself were kind of going back and forth and negotiating and trying to figure something out. And she came to me with the idea of how do we become the most premier possible partner for you? How do we stand head and shoulders above the rest? And so we came up with the concept of the presenting partner of the festival, which candidly for us was a little bit of a holy cow. It required some internal negotiation on the part of me and my team to really sell that through. But we were able to sort of figure that out, and that everything sort of came out of that. So what we ended up doing in terms of actual collaboration, if we go to the next slide, was really working to reintroduce the Rogers brand throughout everything that we were doing at TIFF. So they were leveraging the TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival presented by Rogers, across their RSM broadcast. They created really wonderful content in cinema celebrating our audiences. They were integrated deeply into our out-of-home and their out-of-home, and they also were the presenting partner of our People's Choice Award. They had an incredible activation on David Pico Square on our biggest red carpet at Roy Thompson Hall, where it actually became the first media stop. So they had RSM talent right there at the top of our red carpet as the talent walked up, and they got to create really interesting interview content, leverage that across the power of their media engine, which was quite powerful, and then also doing really great customer, client, and stakeholder hosting. So everything from sponsored screenings to access to our highest level hosting spaces like our red carpet suites, and hosting throughout the festival. So a lot of work in a very short period of time. And then if we go to the successes, so they actually became the #1 brand recall partner among TIFF fans, which again, if we think back to the fact that we had a incumbent in that space for 28 years is quite incredible. Solid media coverage, incredible customer hosting experiences, and like a really significant amount of impressions across all channels. So it was a really tremendous partnership.
And I think something all of you touched upon, but kind of glossed over now that we're sitting here and seeing that they've won awards and how moving and incredible these partnerships are. It's the like hard work, the convincing, the negotiation, all of those things that go into it that hopefully is very rewarding, but is a key part to making these things as incredible as they are.
Yeah, it's so much. I mean, I love negotiation. That's why I do what I do. It's a lot of fun to beat up problems and collaborate with folks who challenge you, right? And that's something that, like, with Rogers or our other partners, you know, RBC and Visa, we are constantly challenging each other to do better work, and we are entrepreneurial by nature as a property, and having partners that do that and that are willing to engage with you on that level is the most rewarding part of the gig.
Very cool. Jorge, question for you, and you spoke a bit about the transformation T1 has gone through, and I think about this rewarding part of the gig. T1 has long believed that sponsorship is about connection, community, belonging, and not just about logos. How has this philosophy kind of shaped your work, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and it comes. Here's another plug for Mark Harrison, who's our founder, also founded Sponsorship X, and he was talking about the power of people just now. And I think for us and at T1, his philosophy around sponsorship is a people business. One of the reasons why we don't have brands on our tag is because we're people first. And maybe the brand or agency or property that we represent, that comes secondary to that. So while in a sponsorship you might have a property on one side, a brand on the other, at the end of the room, these are two people sitting on those chairs talking about their own, yes, priorities at work, but also what they're passionate about. And sponsorship is all about impacting community, making fans or communities' lives better. These are all people throughout the entire ecosystem. So at the end of the day, we're in the people business, and I think we get that at T1 just because of how it just permeates through everything that Mark Harrison has instilled in everyone at T1.
Right. And Rob, thinking about people as well, audiences are a big part of your festival. And I know Rogers came on as a presenting partner, specifically trying to tap into what makes these festivals, and your festival in particular, so incredible, the audiences. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So our audience is our secret sauce. Like, we have positioned ourselves for the last 50 years as the people's festival, so making sure that we are the kind of place where whether you are the CEO of a Fortune 500 company or you are a first-year film student at U of T, you can access and engage with the amazing things that we bring to Toronto every year. Our audience is also incredibly savvy and incredibly thoughtful, and our People's Choice Award is an extremely reliable predictor of award season success. Our pals at Rogers are the sponsor of the People's Choice Award, and so it was really about like a big kernel of the entire partnership, and a big insight is like, how do we celebrate our audiences and like tell them how much we love them, because I think we do that sometimes. We think we do that well, but it is important for us to like kind of step back and think about how we honor them. And I think the Rogers folks did a tremendous job with their trailers in cinema, where the one in 2024 was for 10 days everyone's a critic, and they had these really funny spots of different people throughout Toronto speaking about film in really elevated and interesting and refined ways. And then their actual content this year was also all about how we have the best audience. Like, it's about bringing films for the best audience in the world, and we're very proud of that.
Having been an audience member, I love it's like this sense of community that takes over with strangers beside you, but
everyone's
cool.
Clapping to the trailers and all that. Yeah, it's great.
Very cool. And Marlie, for the See My Name campaign, creativity, I want to believe, was a huge part of that, to bring that chill moment to life. Can you share a little bit more about the creative process and that journey to get there?
Yeah, creative. was creative and amazing storytelling was what made this campaign super successful. Seeing some of the spots and just the content, whether it be stills or video, that's what everyone was resonating with, and it was a process for us. We obviously, in partnership with Rethink, we work on a model called Muscle. It's an acronym which just allows us to be speaking the same language and holding ourselves accountable to the outputs that we want to put in the world, and we're able to check back on it. So Muscle is magnetic. Let's see if I can get this. Unexpected, simple, crafted brilliantly, long-term platform, and then essence of the brand. And so by following all of these acronyms with Muscle, it really all holds us accountable, but then we can speak the same language with all of our partners in terms of the campaign. And also the PWHL, they were able to amplify our creative at every single spot. They leaned in with us from the start to the finish. They were involved in every single meeting with us. We really collaborated well with them because they were 50-50 on this campaign. And so I think in the end, the storytelling that came out of it, you're speaking of those chills, like that's what you feel when you see this campaign.
Love that. And Jorge, last maybe question before we start to wrap up here for you of what does innovation and sponsorship marketing look like? And if folks are sitting here keen to think about, go back to their teams and think of those groundbreaking partnerships that speak a lot to this collaboration community belonging, what does innovation mean to you for that?
Yeah, I think it comes back to something I was saying earlier around the era of optimization. We have folks in this room that are really leading the charge by working in these tools that are making our industry better. Just data has been part of our industry for a long time, but the innovation that's going across all of these tools to remain just at the top of their game is what's driving the growth in our industry. So for me, maybe because I'm a little bit of a nerd, I love the data and how available, how quickly you can get it, how accurate it is just what excites me about the innovation in this space.
Right. So one final question for each of you. And Marlie, given how our opening addresses started today, I'm going to ask you one slightly different than Jorge and Rob. But Molson's See My Name campaign really shone a spotlight on female recognition in sport. How did you approach driving meaningful change through that campaign and those partnerships, specifically with the PWHL?
Yeah, meaningful change was really at the root of what we were doing with this campaign. We had the idea and, the strategic insight about amplifying these players and making that going back to that at every touch point and really crafting everything around that. And then the notion about the jerseys and the names. So the strategic change came, I think, really from the authentic idea that we were super authentic about and we really were passionate about these players, and everything came after that. We were able to shine their names, we were able to get them out there. The campaign went viral at every single touch point. Now they were getting on all these media channels. There was a exclusive in the Toronto Star. Like, the notion of us trying to give these athletes the platform that they really deserved was the root of it, and I think that's what ended up with the positive change. And I do, give a huge shout out to our partners at the PWHL, because without them, we wouldn't have been able to make this campaign come to life, right? And I think that this is such a benefit of these new leagues. The PWHL, the NSL, you're getting opportunities to engage with them or activate with them, and maybe we haven't been used to over the past few years with some other leagues because they're at a different place. They have different athletes, or athletes are so willing to engage with brands, and they're open to that if they align with them authentically. And so the PWHL actually let us tweak their jersey, right, with the actual name on the back. We see the standard jersey patches, but that was not what this was. And the PWHL really leaned in with us there to make this campaign come to life and let us do that. And I think when we want to see positive change, you have to come together, and they really leaned in with us from our idea to them allowing us to do this because they saw the end goal.
Yeah, that shared mission and purpose there. That's great. And the last two for you, Rob, and then you, Jorge. But looking ahead over the next 5 years, where do you see the power of sponsorship going? Maybe Rob, start with you from a property and brand perspective, and Jorge, wrap it up. up with the agency perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I think the folks who are going to win over the next 5 years are going to lean into the measurable, right? They're going to like deploy technology at scale to effectively measure and tweak and use the insights that they can derive from data to just candidly make better work. And I think when we sort of like tie that up with like alignment on values and on purpose, we can continue to really create the types of experiences, honestly, like the one that like my dad keeps talking about, right? Where it is like this really meaningful engagement with a brand and with a property that will follow you for the rest of your life. And that's, you know, the end goal, I think.
I think for me it's the impact on fans. I think brands get it now. It's not only about getting your brand out there, it's about making an impact. And we're gonna see more brands, more campaigns, more athletes, more leagues, and more sponsorship that does good. And I think that's what really excites me about the future. Just more impactful partnerships. And I know it's a buzzword, impact, what does that mean? But at the end of the day, it's going to make the experience better for fans. It's going to make the experience better for the players themselves. And then the brands are gonna reap the benefits from it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you to all three of you for the conversation and letting us ask a few questions and understanding what made your award-winning work and campaign so powerful. Congratulations again. So let's give them a final round of applause, and you can ask for autographs later. But thank you so much, and I really like the themes around people, community, but this shared belief. Either within your team, the shared belief, with your partners, with your audiences, with your athletes, that shared belief that really brings people together and makes these impactful sponsorships so beautiful. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.